Hi guys, welcome back. Algebra 1, lesson 31. Today we're going to be talking about equations, solving equations. Okay, so let's get started. For those of you following along at home, I'm in Saxon Algebra 1, third edition. I'm on page 128. We're going to be talking about these examples here. So those of you who are in my class, make sure that you are getting out your notes, right? And you're going to be writing down these examples that I write down, and anything that I write down, you're going to write down, because these are how I want your equations to look when you go to do your homework, okay? So, I keep saying, I gotta think. Words are hard today. Example number 1. All right. Quantity 3 minus b equals b minus 5. Okay, guys, before we can do anything, we have to distribute our 2. We're going to distribute to here and to here. 2 times 3 is going to give me 6. 2 times negative b is going to give me negative 2b equals b minus 5. Now, we have the variable on both sides of the equation here. We can move it over to either side. Personally, I like to have my variables on my left-hand side. And then my other non-variables on the right. So I'm going to move this guy over to here. Notice it is a positive b. I got to minus that. Minus b minus b. Now, these guys cancel out, and I'm going to bring down. And guys, how I'm writing this right now is how I want your assignments to look, okay? Okay, sorry, I had to make some adjustments to my camera there. Okay, so we have 6, and now remember there's a 1 in front of this b here, so negative 2, negative 1 is going to give me negative 3b equals, and we're going to bring down this chunk here, but notice you got to pay real close attention to that guy right there, negative 5. You can see I was eating Reese's peanut butter cups earlier. Happy Halloween, whenever you're watching this. Okay, now what we want to do is get this chunk with the b. We need to get that by itself, so we got to move this guy over to the other side. It's positive 6, and the opposite of positive 6 is negative 6. Negative 6, negative 6. These guys cancel out. Notice I have a negative here. Bring that down. Negative 3b equals negative 11. Okay, so then what we're going to do is, in order to get that b by itself, I need to divide. Divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. All right, b equals, now, negative divided by negative is a positive, right? 11 thirds. Guys, keep your answers in fraction form unless the problem starts in decimal form, then you can turn it into a decimal. Or if it's a word problem and it makes more sense for it to be in decimal form, then you can use decimal form. Otherwise, just leave it as an improper fraction. It's the best thing you can do. If you have to graph it, you may want to make it into a mixed number, or if you needed for whatever reason to know which 2 whole numbers it comes between. But for the most part, just leave it as a mixed number. All right, let's do example number 2 together. Example number 2, 3 quantity 1 plus 2x plus 7 equals negative 4x plus 2. All right, guys, before we can do anything and move anything around, we got to distribute first, okay? So let's distribute that 3 to here and to here. So we get 3 plus 6x plus 7 equals, take that negative 4, we're going to distribute that to both this guy and to this guy. So that's negative 4x. Negative 4 times positive 2 gives us negative 8, okay? Now, before we go moving anything left or right, we want to make sure to combine all of our like terms. It's technically not wrong, like if I wanted to minus 7 here, minus over here, but you know, we get up to having with a lot, as these get a little bit more complicated, it makes a lot more sense if you just combine all your like terms first before you move left and right. So 3 and 7 gives me 10, so I have 6x plus 10 equals negative 4x minus 8. Again, I want to move my variables to the left side. I think that's just personal preference. So I'm going to move this chunk, and remember, chunks are broken up by addition, subtraction. So I'm going to take this chunk and we're going to move it over to here. To do that, I'm going to do the opposite, 4x, okay? Plus 4x over here. Draw my line. These guys cancel out. Guys, these are how your problems should look. If they do not, go back and make them look this way, okay? Good. So I have 10x plus 10 equals negative 8. All right, now I'm in a position to be able to move. Again, I want to get that chunk with the variable by itself, so I'm going to move this guy over to the other side. Minus 10 minus 10. 10x equals negative 18. All right, let's divide by 10, divide by 10. Again, you want to keep this in the most reduced fraction form, okay? So if we do that, then what we have is we have our x here. So x equals negative divided by a positive is going to be a negative. This can be reduced down to 9 over 5. 9 over 5. All right, so I think you're getting the right idea on these guys. I'm going to jump around to some other examples. Let's look at example number 4. Example number 4. 12 minus quantity 2x plus 5 equals negative 2 plus x minus 3. Okay, so guys, this one's a tricky one because remember what I said about mathematicians being lazy? Definitely lazy. There's actually a 1 in front here, but we don't write it unless we absolutely have to write things down. So you don't usually see it. I'm gonna go ahead and put it there for now so you can just see as we distribute. Take this 12, we're gonna bring that down. Negative 1 distributed to here gives me negative 2x. Negative 1 distributed to here gives me negative 5, which equals negative 2 plus, now there's nothing that I need to distribute here, so we're just going to take it straight out of the parentheses. Again, you want to combine everything on either side of your equation before you go moving it to the left or right. So I like to start by writing my chunks with the variables, so negative 2x, and then I have 12 and negative 5. 12 and negative 5, that's going to be 7. Equals negative 2 plus, oh wait, oops, I can combine things, wasn't paying attention. Negative 2 and negative 3 is going to give me negative 5. So I have x minus 5 or plus a negative 5 if you wanted to do that, that's fine. Let's subtract x from both sides because I want to take this chunk here and I want to move it over to the other side. So it's as tilty as it gets, sorry guys. Let's see. So negative 2 minus, and again, there's a 1 there, right? If you need to, you can write a 1 in there just to help you remember. If not, no big deal. Negative 3x plus 7 equals, these guys cancel out, and I want to bring this down. Don't lose that sign, negative 5. Okay, next step, we want to get this chunk with the variable by itself, which means we need to move this guy over. So minus 7. These guys cancel out. Negative 3x equals negative 12. 7, 3, 4, yep, okay. Divide both sides by negative 3 because right here the operation we're doing is multiplying. The opposite of multiply is divide, so that's why I'm dividing these. Good. These guys cancel out and x equals negative divided by negative is a positive. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 12 divided by 3 is 4. All right, so let's turn the page and get started on some of these practice problems. Let's get, actually, you know what? Let's look at example number 5. This guy is negative quantity 4y minus 17 plus negative y equals, that's in parentheses in the book, that's fine too, it's just protecting those negatives, minus negative y, that's in parentheses as well. Okay, so again, we have a negative 1 in front here, so we want to distribute that out. We're going to get negative 4y, and then a negative times a negative is going to give us positive 17, okay? Plus negative y equals, this we can just take out because there's nothing we have to distribute, 2y minus 1. Now a negative, so minus a negative, we add the opposite there, we would have plus y. Again, we want to combine like terms before we go moving things around. Let's combine this and this. That's a 1 in front there, so that's going to be negative 5y plus 17 equals, and then I can combine this and this to get 3y minus 1. 3y minus 1. Let me just sit here. Yeah, trade out my marker here. Okay, so now what I want to do is move the chunk with the variables over to the left side. So I'm going to minus 3y here. Minus 3y. Good. So 5, that's going to give me negative 8y plus 17 equals, these guys cancel out, bring down that negative 1. Now, again, I want to get this chunk with the variable by itself, so I'm going to minus 17 from both sides. I end up now with negative 8y equals negative 18. Divide both sides by negative 8. Divide by negative 8 to get that by itself. y equals negative divided by negative is a positive. 18 over 8 is going to give me 9 over 4. If I reduce that down, divide both the top and bottom by 2. Okay, so let's try those practice problems now. You've got all right, those practice problems are on page 130 if you're following along at home. What I want you to do is pause the video, give those a shot, and then come on back and let's do them together to make sure that you've got the right idea. So A is negative 3 quantity 2 minus C equals C minus 2. Okay, so let's start with this guy, right? Give this a shot. So we're going to distribute that negative 3, so we get negative 6. Now, negative 3 times negative C is going to give me positive 3C equals C minus 2. All right, I've got these 4 chunks here. I want all the chunks with the variables on one side, all the chunks with non-variables on the other. So I'm going to minus C from both sides. Minus C. I swear I go through so many markers. Let me find one that works. Especially while I'm recording these, I want these to be like the brightest that you can possibly see. So, let's see how this works. Minus C, draw my line, cancel these guys out. Negative 6. Now, 3 minus, and remember there's a 1 here. If there's if there's no coefficient, it's always a 1. So it's going to be plus 2C equals negative 2. Equals negative 2. Let's take this negative 6 and we're going to move this chunk over to the other side. So plus 6, okay? Draw our line, cancel these guys out. We get 2C equals negative 2 and positive 6 gives me 4. Divide these both by 2 to get that C by itself. What we do to one side, we got to do to the other. So C equals 2. C equals 2. All right, let's try B. All right, problem set B. Negative 6C minus 5 equals 4, 7C minus 8 plus 3. All right, guys, again, there's a negative 1 here, but it's not shown. So you've got to distribute that negative 1. That gives us negative 6C. Negative times a negative is going to be a positive. 1 times 5 is going to be 5. Equals 4 times 7 is 28. C. 4 times 8 is going to be minus 32. Yeah, oh gosh, for a minute there, I just space it out. Okay, plus 3. I'm always worried that I make a mistake on these. So, good. Now we want to combine all of our like terms that we can. Like maybe let's combine these guys here. So I'm going to bring everything else down around it. This is what you need to be doing and showing your work on your homework, okay? Minus 29. Minus 29. So I'm going to move this 28C over. I'm going to do the opposite here, which means I need to do it over here. Cancel these guys out. A negative, that's going to give me negative 34C plus 5 equals negative 29. Negative 29. Okay, now I want to get this chunk here with the variable all by itself, so I'm going to need to move this chunk over by minusing 5 from both sides. When I do that, I get negative 34C equals negative 34. To get that C by itself, I want to divide by negative 34, divide by negative 34. C equals, these guys canceled out. Negative 34 divided by negative 34 is just 1. That is your answer. Excellent, guys. All right, one more. Let's try this guy. For C, we have negative quantity 7 minus 9. Z minus 6Z equals 8, quantity negative 6 plus 2. All right, guys, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to do distribution here. When we have these things inside the parentheses, we can do first, right? So if I add the opposite here, I'm going to get negative 2. So negative 2 Z minus 6Z equals 8 times, and then this will be negative 4, okay? Now, negative times a negative is a positive, so this is just 2Z minus 6Z equals negative 32, okay? Let's see here. 2 minus 6, add the opposite. That would give me negative 4z equals negative 32. Divide this by negative 4, divide this by negative 4. These guys cancel out. Z equals negative divided by negative is going to be a positive, right? And then if we got that, we would get 8. So any questions on these, let me know. Otherwise, good luck. Go ahead and work on the assignment, and I will see you guys in class. Thank you so much.